One of my worst habits is my tendency to react quickly, especially in times of high emotion. Quick to anger, quick to sadness, I feel emotions hard and fast, and I struggle to express them in a healthy, productive way. Of course, I knew of this habit prior to starting the course, but it wasn't until starting the course that I realized I can make the action and change the habit. I just have to care enough to do so. My hope is that you gain that understanding without having to take a course, and you leave this speech with the knowledge that you have the capability to change anything that you are unhappy with. The first step of fixing my reactive habit was putting it on a continuum line. This allows me to identify the worst, least desirable example of the skill and the most best desirable example of the skill, and where I am as far as how well I portray the skill. The habit being described by the line was reacting too quickly based on initial emotions. Under the worst example of the skill, I wrote hearing something that elicits a negative emotion and immediately reacting. For the most desirable, best example of the skill, I wrote noticing something is making me feel upset and taking the proper amount of time to unpack the feelings and understand the emotion before reacting. In between these two extremes, I wrote about my current ability. In the beginning of the course, my current ability was close to the least desirable example, almost identical. I wrote, when I hear something that makes me angry, I immediately have to react. As the course progressed, so did my self-awareness and my understanding that not everything needs an immediate reaction. One mindfulness practice that specifically stood out to me was the ability to notice and let go. I knew that on my journey of managing reactiveness, I would have to get used to noticing my emotions and temporarily letting go of them. When I would notice a feeling of anger, sadness, or discomfort, rather than immediately having a reaction, I would put the emotion in my back pocket to save for later. I found this gave me time to think of feelings, and it also gave me the time to think of why I felt the way I did and to decide the proper steps to take to help solve it. The best way to have a reaction. After doing this a handful of times, I realized it was helping my relationships tremendously. My boyfriend and I were having more productive conversations, and I was able to better express my feelings to my father in times of disagreement. Having the ability to notice and let go helped me be amazingly successful in my efforts to be less reactive. However, in order to let go of my emotions, I had to practice a different mindfulness activity. I'd have to sit in my own discomfort. My quick reactions and intense emotions stem from my fear of imperfection. If a situation wasn't going to go as perfectly as I had planned, I would flip out. If someone tried to tell me that I was behaving a certain way, I would start to sob. If plans randomly changed without my knowledge, I got so angry that I wouldn't go anymore. It was my own misconception that freaking out would solve whatever issue was at hand, and it took me time to learn that it is necessary to sit with your emotions before reacting to them. Sitting with discomfort was extremely hard for me, and there were a few times where I slipped up. Overall, I learned how important it was to pause and unpack before you react. In my practices, I also found that sitting in discomfort is related to noticing and letting go. In the time period where I choose to revisit my emotions that I previously put in my back pocket, I'm sitting with the discomfort that I felt. And in order to better understand what's causing discomfort, I've learned it's important to sit for a while and really understand it. Then, after you have a strong understanding of emotions that you're feeling and what it's causing them, you can react in a healthy and productive way. If I were to put the same ability, reacting too quickly based on initial emotions, on a continuum now, the least and most desirable examples would not change. What would change is my current ability. Now that we're reaching the end of the semester and the end of this course, I have learned so much about myself and changed my habits for the better. I would label my current ability as pausing and taking a step back when feeling discomfort, gaining a better understanding of my feelings, and revisiting the situation at a better time.